Hi everyone. Today we're going to take a look at the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is a formula that has gotten a lot of praise from a variety of sources, and it's actually well deserved. The NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer is as the name implies, it is more of a kind of a cream to liquid formula, and this offers a nice amount of coverage. It's actually about a medium that's buildable to full. Though the name Creamy Concealer might make it sound like it's going to be much more moisturizing or something you might want to use, for example, if you have dry skin around the eye area. Actually, that's not the case. This really only has a very lightweight amount of moisture, and once it dries, it actually dries to a nice, matte, long-wearing finish. So this is an excellent formula for those who do have oily to combination skin, who are seeking to get that medium to full buildable coverage. You can sheer it out to a lightweight coverage if you're looking for that, but chances are if that's the case, then your foundation will likely kind of do the job for you. But this is certainly a good option for anyone looking for medium to full. Now, in terms of the formula itself, it actually is fragrance-free, which is a great thing. It doesn't really include, as I mentioned, much in the way of emollients. So those who have acne-prone skin will certainly find this is a great option for them, as well as those who have sensitive skin because of that aforementioned fragrance-free formula. The color range is exceptional, which is generally true of most NARS products. There are 10 shades available, which is pretty remarkable for a concealer. Most brands, when they come out with a concealer, particularly a full coverage, the shade range tends to revolve right around 5 as kind of an average, with options for maybe light-ish to maybe kind of medium deepish skin tone. Not so here. NARS provided shades for those who have super fair skin, from the very neutral, slightly cool undertone Chantilly shade, which is almost just a white shade of concealer, which is great for those who do have that kind of super fair skin and have trouble finding concealers. Also, at the far end of the spectrum, cocoa or cacao, actually, is it cacao? One of the two, is a very deep shade that would work well for those who have deeper skin tones. Really those who kind of go beyond that medium or medium tan range that tends to be offered by a lot of cosmetic companies out there. So certainly something for pretty much every skin tone. The middle shades do tend to trend a bit on the warm side. So they are a bit more of the yellow tone. So if you have more of a medium skin tone but do have pinker undertones or cooler undertones, you'd say, this might not be a great fit for you. But the good thing is, of course, that NARS is great with having plenty of tester options available wherever you can find them, whether it be Sephora or Nordstrom. And I would absolutely recommend trying this out because it is a bit difficult to match if you're someone who uses NARS foundations, because there's not really a name correlation with like foundation options, for example. So, but this did absolutely, as you might have picked up, earn a best rating on Beautypedia, and actually it's my personal favorite. Now, one thing that can get a little tricky with concealers is that the application of them, I often find those who tend to not find these being a fit, often the application is the problem. One thing though you want to avoid with these types of concealers is using your fingers to apply them on the face area. Typically that will yield the least beneficial results, or not the results you're looking for. And actually, I use this myself when it comes time to covering up little blemishes or little spots, and I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. As you can see, I have a bit of a red mark here, and we're going to get rid of it. Now, when you're applying concealers to the face to cover up discolorations like this, or a blemish, for example, those sorts of things, you want to focus on getting that coverage, of course, where you want it, but then also you want to avoid spreading that product out over the surrounding areas, because that's just going to emphasize the area you're looking to cover up. Applying with your fingers, like with a pinky for example, is going to spread out that product. Some people find that using their pinky or a finger works great for them, and that works well for you, then of course keep doing it. Don't listen to me. But if you find that you can't quite get the coverage you're looking for, you might want to look to brushes, of course. Now, there are a lot of types of brushes out there. Some of them have the classic kind of flat brush head, for example. I find those, like fingers, tend to spread the product out when when you're using it for the face, but they do work great for, for around the eye area. So I actually tend to find that brushes that aren't conventionally labeled concealer brushes work really well. My two preferences tend to be brushes that have either a kind of domed tip here that's very small and very dense. Oftentimes these are kind of eyeshadow blending brushes or liner blending brushes, for example. And then also another type is a flat lip brush, which is essentially like a really tiny version of your classic concealer brush. The bristles, again, are very dense and also very short, allowing you to focus a lot of pigment, a lot of concealer in a very small space. This is actually the number 20 Wayne Goss and the number 7. Both of these are the brushes I really enjoy and prefer using for concealer. So let's get on to this. So with the NARS Pure Radiant, this is actually a pretty concentrated concealer, and I actually tend to just use what's like right here, because as we all know, when you have concealer right here in that little cap area, it tends to get a little drier and a little bit more concentrated. So I find that's like the best option for using on the face, not so much for the eye area because it can be, again, a little bit too dry. And then so when you're applying it, you just want to just kind of stick to that patting motion, kind of patting and slightly rubbing until you see that discoloration go away. And then I just kind of work it out with those last little remnants on the brush. I just work it out to the surrounding area, and that pretty much takes care of that discoloration. It's pretty much gone. And then after that, you do want to set it with, of course, a powder. If you're wearing a foundation, generally like a liquid foundation, for example, or a cream, generally that's going to go on last on top of the foundation because, of course, you don't want to wear away your concealer when you apply your liquid foundation or your cream. If you're wearing a powder foundation, then usually this is actually would be the last step. And with this type of brush, it's easy to apply this type of concealer over powder foundation without having to worry about it kind of caking or flaking off. So there you go. I hope that helped to give you a few tips on how to get the most out of a concealer like the NARS Radiant Creamy, because as I mentioned, it did earn a best for a lot of very good reasons. If you're going to splurge on a concealer, and this is a bit of a splurge, it's $29 for about a quarter ounce of product, but if you're going to splurge on a concealer and you haven't been happy with the formulas that you found from other brands, the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer is certainly one that is worthwhile. If you've tried this, if you loved it, if you hated it, I would love to hear from you. So go ahead and leave that in the comment section below, or if you have other feedback, you can leave that in the comment section too. Thanks for watching.